Uh, Hello, everyone. So, welcome to Google Developer Student Club's UTD's first workshop of the spring semester. So, today's workshop is going to be about creating a chatbot using Google Dialogflow. This is going to be a fairly hands-on intensive workshop. So, I would expect you guys to follow along with me so that you'll get a good experience and you'll leave the session having a chatbot with you. So without further ado, let's get started. So the agenda for the session is what to expect and natural language processing, fundamental problems with NLP, what is a chatbot, and so on. So as we begin this session, I would like you guys to scan this QR code and or open this website link so you'll get a fair idea about what's gonna come up next. So if you guys have opened the website, you would find something like this. One second. So yeah, you would be seeing something like this. So this is kind of the chatbot you would be making. So this will be the welcome message or the hi hello message from the chatbot. And then, as mentioned in the session flyer, the chatbot will be able to tell you jokes and motivational quotes. So if you write something like jokes, it will give you a joke. If you tell it again to say a funny joke, it would give you another joke. If you tell it to write a quote, so it would give a quote basically. And if you tell it to do something like which is not joke or not a quote, like let's say you tell it to give me an apple, it won't understand it and it will tell you to like say that again, or basically it just lets us know that it is not able to understand what we are saying because it has not been trained to do such things. So at the end of the session you will be having something like this. So let's get started. So to proceed further, I'll let Muktan give a brief overview about NLP. Muktan, you can go ahead.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining. I will be explaining about the natural language processing. What is it, and what are various problems that fall under the natural language processing domain. So, language processing is itself a subfield of computer science, which utilizes the natural language that humans speak or write, and it provides that language to computer, and using that language computer takes some decision. So we have like used the search engines for a long time. So whatever we type, it understands what we are writing, and then provides us the result accordingly. The next example that I would like to give is about speech recognition. Whatever we speak, it understands. And recently, the voice enabled assistant is booming very much. Like we can see the Alexa, we have Alexa at each and everyone's home. Then we also have a Google Assistant in our smartphones, and Siri and whatnot. So these are the basically we are enabling our smartphones or computer or devices to understand the natural language that we speak. So this is about the natural language processing. And technically speaking, natural language processing is a subfield of computer science concerned with the interactions between computer and human language. In particular, how to program computers to process and analyze large amount of natural language data. Yeah, so let us see few fundamental NLP problems. First and most important problem is the language modeling. So most of you may have heard about GPT-3 recently in the headlines of tech news. So it is a language model developed by OpenAI. So let me explain you what the language model is. Language model is basically a system, or you can say a computer program that lets you know how English is the phrase. or how language, how it makes sense, or how correctly it is written or spoken. So I am having two examples here. You can see that recognize speech and rec a nice speech both sound similar, but and language model will provide a confidence level of recognized speech higher than recognize speech, because that is not a general phrase, or that is not a general sentence. So this is how language models work. They provide the confidence level or the score, we can say, to a sentence or a phrase or even a paragraph, that how grammatically correct and how sensible the sentence or paragraph is. So this is about language modeling. Next, we have speech recognition. As I said, we have many voice-enabled assistants available on our devices. So what do they actually do is take in the speech signal or whatever speech that we provide, and it is then transcribed. Then it is searched over the internet. So whenever we try to ask Google Assistant a question that which is the tallest building, then it will recognize the text out of our speech and then query it to its own search engine. So the initial part, that is converting from speech to the transcript, that is known as speech recognition. Next, we are having another useful NLP problem, that is machine translation. So what does machine translation do is it takes in the text or speech in one language and then translates it to another language. We all may have used this during our travel, or whenever we go to a foreign country and we are not able to communicate directly in our own language. We try to translate it and then uh, provide the translated speech or the translated text to make the another person understand what we are trying to speak. And the one of the most basic NLP problem that currently the research is booming in the field, that is question answering. There are various kinds of question answering, and there are various applications of that also. The general question answering that we see in our devices, that is like in Google Assistant, or even in Alexa, or even in Siri, they are broad perspective question answering programs. So basically they have to consider the wide spectrum of questions that user can throw, and they have to impromptly reply to the question that is provided. So the tasks can range from setting a timer to setting an event, or even a general question that should be searched over the internet. And for all this, the computer should correctly able to understand what the user is trying to speak. So that is the major question answering tool that we use. Another specific question answering tools are that we see are the chatbots provided in various websites, also in various locations. So to just give us a small and quick example, uh, we can have a question answering bot for booking a flight ticket. So we can just type, I want to go from LA to Seattle. Then it will ask what date, and it will ask us the follow-up questions. And accordingly, it will directly search the best flights and provide us the booking of the flight that we want to go through. So this is how chatbot makes us easier and convenient to do the tasks that we are having in our hand.
Yeah. So, as Muktan correctly mentioned, chatbot is a software that simulates human-like conversations, which are very natural to us as human beings, and it converses like us, so it doesn't feel very robotic, and it helps us doing many of the tasks which would usually take a longer amount of time. For as Muktan mentioned, if it is about booking a flight ticket, or let's say ordering a pizza, or searching the order status of your particular order, then all these tasks would take some time for a human to do. But chatbot enables us to oh, just give a voice or a speech command, and then it will do all the processing work on its backend and give you the final output. So as you can see in this example, the chatbot is asking, "Hello, how may I help you?" So the user is asking, "How long does my delivery take?" So the chatbot knows that based on the context, it knows that what the user is trying to do. So it asks the user for their address. So the user gives their address, and finally, the uh, chatbot queries on its backend that okay, for this particular user, this is the address, and it would be fetching the order number and a lot of other things for that particular order, and then it will finally give us a response that the delivery for that order would take 2 to 3 days. So basically, the key task of chatbot is to help users by providing answers to the questions they ask. So coming to the main highlight of today's session. So we would be using Dialogflow to create chatbots. There are other tools as well that you can use to create a chatbot like AWS Lex, or there's another framework called Rasa using which you can create your chatbots. But this is by far one of the most easiest and most intuitive way to create a chatbot. So, Dialogflow is a natural language understanding and processing platform, which makes it easy to design a conversational user interface, which is nothing but chatbot, and then it can be embedded within your mobile app, web application, device, or other platforms. So basically, what a chatbot does is it accepts input in the form of speech or text, and it gives output in the form of speech or text. So Dialogflow is a platform which enables us to perform these tasks. So yeah, so the main fundamental unit of carrying on a conversation is an intent. So an intent categorizes a user's end intention for doing that conversation. So for example, when you tell the chatbot to tell you a joke, the chatbot engine identifies that the user wants to kind of hear a joke from it. Or if you tell it to book a flight, then the chatbot understands that the user is trying to book a flight. So basically, whatever the user wants the chatbot to do, that is called an intent. So yeah, so when and also the words which the users utters while telling the chatbot what to do. So those are called as end user expression. They are also called as training phrases. Again, the wordings depends on the platform that you are using. So I think in Dialogflow they call it as training phrases, and once the user says the words that he wants, like basically when the user tells the chatbot to do what he wants, so basically he gives a training phrase, and then based on the training phrase, it identifies that the chatbot engine identifies that this is what the user is trying to do. So the matching of the intent of the user to the particular task that is to be done, that is called intent matching or intent classification. And Dialogflow uses two algorithms to match intents. So they are called rule-based grammar matching or ML matching. Whenever we are providing more of these training phrases, so in that case, it falls back on rule-based grammar matching. And also, it is quicker to kind of train the chatbot for this. While in ML matching, it takes a bit of time to kind of analyze and train the model, and then also it is a bit slower. So as you can see over here in the screenshot attached, so the user told the chatbot to basically what you see over here, joke. That is a training phrase or the utterance that the user told, and then it gets mapped to an intent called get jokes. So this is an example of how the matching got completed. And if you see over here, sentiment query score. So over here, if you just focus on the magnitude, it gives us a confidence interval, confidence with the intent that it got matched. So for example, so over here, since the user said joke, and joke was one of the training phrases for training this intent. So that's why it got correctly classified as get jokes with a confidence of 80%. So yeah, so the confidence interval or the confidence level that I mentioned in the previous slide, so that is its description is given as follows. Dialogflow scores potential matches with an intent detection confidence, also known as the confidence score. These values range between 0 to 1, 0 percentage to 100 percentage. And once the intents are scored, like they are given a confidence level percentage. So based on that, like each intent is having a classification threshold, let's say zero point 0.5. If the confidence with which the chatbot engine kind of classified the intent is less than zero point 0.5, then it will give you a fallback intent. So if you remember the previous example, when I started the session, I told it, the chatbot, to give me an apple. So the chatbot was not trained to perform the task of giving an apple. So that's why it kind of followed the fallback intent. As in, it didn't understand what to do, so it gave a default message that I'm not able to understand. So, like it will tell you what it can do rather than what you want it to do. So this is the fallback intent. And if I told it the chatbot to give a joke or a quote, so the chatbot recognized it, and the confidence score for that particular utterances exceeded the threshold, and because of which the get jokes or get quotes intent was matched, and the intent action was triggered. And if you do not configure any threshold value or fallback intent, then no intent is met and the chatbot won't do anything for you. So, yeah, now it's time for hands on. So, I would suggest all of you guys to like basically have your like log in into your Google account, Gmail account, and then sign up on this link, dialogflow.cloud.google.com. So once you open the link, you would be redirected to a Google Cloud Platform page wherein you would be required to, I think, sign up for Dialogflow. So, like people who already have used Google Cloud before, so they won't be struggling much. Like they would just have to go to Dialogflow. And for the users who are not familiar with Google Cloud, so they may have to register on Google Cloud, and also they may have to provide their card details for payment. But don't worry, you are not going to be charged for any of the services that we use today. All these are free services, so you can definitely go ahead and try the link out. So once you complete the process, you would be seeing a screen something like this, similar to this, basically. And if you are struggling with any of the parts, then you may like write down in the comment section. And also, you can also reach out to Niranjan, who is live on the Discord server, to help you out if you have any issues. And also for the folks who have done, who have already signed up on the this link, Dialogflow link, you may proceed to check out this link. It would open a Google Doc, which would basically have some jokes and quotes ready for you that you can directly use into your chatbot. So people who have already reached till this step and have the jokes and quotes file open, can you please put a thumbs up in the comment section or something like that so that we can proceed further? Okay, I think most of the people are. already on this page. So if you have reached till here, the next step is you need to click on this button and then create new agent. You can give some name to it, GDSC bot, and click on create. It would take some time, 2 3 minutes or so to get built up. So after that is done, you would see a page like this, but it's not yet over because you are still seeing the loading agents uh, banner over here. So you might have to wait for some time. Have people been following along with me so far? Okay, so the next step is to click on intents and create intent. So right now, what we want our chatbot to do is give us jokes. So you can write something like get jokes or give me jokes, whatever. Let's write give me jokes. And so over here, you would see a section called connect intents. So this is used for creating basically longer flows. As in, let's say you want the chatbot to book a flight for you. So you would tell the chatbot to book a flight, and maybe at the end of it, you would also like to book a hotel. So at the end of the first conversation, you would tell the chat, like you would give the user a prompt that would you like to book a hotel as well. So in that case, like basically the book hotel intent would get triggered from this book flight intent. So this is how you create long conversational flows. So that is the first part. Then there is events. So if you want the chatbot to do something on the click of a button or something like that, then in that case you can use events. So these basically, yeah. And I'll also come to training phrases. So training phrases are the utterances that I said previously. So you would add the utterances as in the words the user might speak to train the chatbot over here. So yeah, so these are the three ways chatbot can be triggered: context, event, or training phrases. And then we have action and parameters. So over here, basically what it does is that suppose you want the yeah suppose you are booking a flight. So in that case, you would need the name of a city. You would need the date on which you are flying. So all these information can be considered as parameters. So parameters, and all these parameters are mapped to entities. So over here, one example of an entity would be something like at the rate sys dot city, city. Yeah. So if you mention something like this, so the chatbot would automatically identify that, yeah, the expected input over here is the name of a city. Similarly, if you mention something like date, then it would identify it as a date. You can see there is an option called at the rate sys date time. So that's about it. and then these are this is a section where you will be giving the responses. So since this is a very beginner level workshop, we would be hard coding the responses. So like in our case, what we would be doing is that we would be taking each of the joke from here, copying it and pasting it over here, because like that is one of the ways. So we would enter some 10-15 jokes, or uh, basically a few jokes over here. I think the limit is 30. So you would add the jokes over here, and then whenever this give me jokes intent would be triggered, it would pick up any of the responses from the responses that you give over here randomly, and then it would return it back to you. Okay, so this is the try it now section of the Dialogflow console. So over here, you can test out your chatbot so that you can know whether it is functioning properly or not. So this is one of the section, and then there's one more section called fulfillment. So what fulfillment is basically like, again, coming back to my previous example of booking a flight. So like you are conversing with the chatbot, so the conversation is occurring, and after that the chatbot will collect all the information, like you want to book a flight from San Francisco to Seattle on, let's say, 9th of February at 12 p.m. So all the is information is collected, but then a transaction must occur to kind of book a flight. So basically, it will basically hit an API of any of the flight booking websites or the flight partner, and then a ticket will be booked. So whenever you want to kind of do something which is external, like you want some external functions to execute, or you want to call an API, so in that case, you would have to enable webhook call for the intent. So over here, what we can also do is that instead of giving the jokes as responses over here, we can enable the webhook call for this intent, and then we need to, oh, in this fulfillment section. Okay, one second. Yeah, let me just save this. So yeah, if you go to the fulfillment section, it will give you an option to enable webhook. So over here, you would mention the API link where which API you would like to hit, and it is having this authentication value and headers and other things that you would have to pass it to the API to get a response and for authentication. So all these things need to be provided to the webhook call. And one thing to note over here is that Dialogflow only triggers post request from here. So if you would like to hit an API which is making a GET request, like most of the APIs that I checked out, which give us jokes, are GET APIs. So for them, you would again need to do some extra processing to convert those post requests to GET requests. So that is about it. And again, coming back to our intents for give me jokes. So yeah, so that was about the fulfillment section. So basically, if you want your chatbot to do some kind of automation, then you would call the automation API from here. Like basically, you would enable the fulfillment section and then give the endpoint for that API in the fulfillment section, and then the whatever the API was gonna do, it will perform that task. So that is about it. And yeah, so let's come to the training phases over here. So you can give me examples of what the user would say when the user wants to hear a joke. The most common will be joke. Tell me a joke. Okay, guys, I also want you to follow along with me right now. You can write whatever other utterances that you might think of, like some random joke, funny joke, silly joke, then joke of the day, then maybe joke of the month, jokes. Yeah. So whatever examples you can think of, you can give all those examples over here, and the training phrases add user expression box, and it would be added over here. Then, if you want to delete it, you can just click on this delete button, and it would delete that utterance if you have mistyped something. And yeah, this is the first part, and the second part is responses. So over here again, you would pick up some sentences from here, paste it in here, then yeah. So this is done, and at the end of it, what you would do is click on the save button. So you would see a message called intent saved, and then there would be a message agent training started. So what it is essentially doing is it is using these training phrases and training the intent classification model. So yeah, the agent training completed, and what it would now do is that it would give you some of the responses from here. So let's try it out to tell it joke. So yeah, it gave us this response. Now if you tell it funny joke, so yeah, again it gave us some response from here. Joke of the day. So yeah, it again gave back the last response. So yeah, this behavior is totally random. You can't control it, but this is the first intent that we are trying to fulfill. And as I showed in the slides before, so whatever we say, we typed in, user says. So that is our utterance, and it is shown over here. Whatever the response the chatbot gave, it is over here, and the intent got correctly classified as give me jokes, which is over here. And since we didn't define any action to be taken, or we were not extracting any parameters from there, so it's giving us action not available. And this thing, this is basically, I think, the confidence interval. So this is the first step. Now you can again go back to click on intent, default welcome intent. So over here, these are some of the predefined responses that user would necessarily speak to trigger the chatbot. Like this is one page and there's one more page over here. So you can try it out. If you say hi, it gives you this response, hello, how can I help you? So this response would basically be over here. Hello, how can I help you? Similarly, if you say hello, it gives you some another response. So over here, you can, as you can see over here, I did give the chatbot a name, Antonio Caravich. So you might give something whatever you like. I would say hi Karan, then hello Karan. You can also customize the message. I would also go on to add, would you like to hear some jokes? Then please type jokes if you would like to hear one. So yeah, you can give Ola user something. So yeah, like once you make these changes, uh, you need to save it. Again, you would see intent is getting saved, then agent training would start, and the agent training would get completed. So yeah, whatever we mentioned in the responses, we are getting that same thing over here. So have people been following so far? Just give a thumbs up in the chat. So yeah, once this is done, you can again go back to intents. And if you remember the message that I got over here, give me an apple, say that again. So the message that you are getting over here, it is from the default fallback intent. And if you look carefully at the message, it says say that again. So this is coming actually from here. Say that again. Where is it? Sorry, can you say that again? Sorry, could you say that again? Etc. etc. So over here, we have not defined any training phrases. So what it essentially means is that whatever other type of input will be given to the chatbot, it will essentially fall into this category and the fallback intent will be triggered. It is analogous to the, if I think most of you guys would be familiar with switch case construct in C or Java. So over there you mention switch and then some character or expression, and then you define different cases. And at the end you define a default case. If the output doesn't fall, if the evaluation of the expression doesn't fall into any of the cases, then the default case would be triggered. So you can think of fallback intent as very similar to that. So this is the fallback intent. You can try it out X, Y, Z, A, something random. Say that one more time. It doesn't understand what you are trying to say. And again, the intent is given over here as default fallback intent. Uh, so have you been following along? Are you having any questions? Then you can write it in the chat. Otherwise, let me know if I can proceed further for one more intent, which is give me quotes. Yeah. Okay. Let's finish. Give me quotes first. So again, yeah, create intent and give me quotes. Then you would mention some training phases, quotes, quote of the day, daily motivation, inspire me, then best quote so far, Give me a quote. Yeah, so basically you can give as many training phrases as you would like so that it would train the model in a better way. So once this is done, as we did in the give me jokes intent, you would pick up some phrases from here and then paste it over here. Then this. So yeah, I'm giving only three quotes so far. Like it serves a purpose. And yeah, again the intent, this entire page is similar, very similar to how it was for the give me jokes intent. It's just that we are working on a separate intent right now. And once you are done entering phrases over here and here, click on the save button. We can try it out now. So yeah, if you would notice one thing over here that I would like to point out, the user says quote, okay, but we didn't mention any word training phrase like quote over here. We mentioned quotes or quote of the day, best quote so far, give me a quote, something like this. So the intent classification engine recognizes that what the user was trying to say, and that is why it got mapped to the give me quotes intent. So yeah, like this is about the give me quotes intent. And yeah, let's save it one more time before switching over to another tab. So at the end of everything, you would essentially be having four intents over here. These two are the default intents which Dialogflow provides us, and these two are the are our custom intents that we defined. Let me know if you have reached till here. Let's thumbs up in the comment section. So yeah, I think someone mentioned in the chat if they want the chatbot to work for some other kind of conversations, then what you need to do is go over to the small talk tab over here, and then you can mention the responses over here, such as who are you? So I am GDSC bot. How old are you? Half an hour probably. 1800 seconds and counting, something like this. So yeah, there are a lot of questions that you can fill in at your leisure time, and yeah, basically you can play around with it. So this is one of the tab that I wanted to talk about. Then again, courtesy, then hello, goodbye, about user. So yeah, all these things you can mention, and at the yeah, before switching over to any other tab, please click on enable button and do save it so that it remembers the response that you gave in. So now if you, I think the training completed. Let's check. How old are you? Yeah. So it gave us this response, 1800 seconds and counting. So similarly, you can try out different kinds of responses. So for the bot that I have over here, I did complete few of the training part. So for example, uh, yeah, let's say how old are you? So yeah, like when I created the chatbot, it was 2 weeks old. Similarly, other questions also the chatbot might be able to answer you. Let's say you are boring, so it says let's watch Netflix instead. So yeah, these are some of the way you can enable a more human-like conversation with the chatbot rather than just the intents. And yeah, this might make your chatbot more engaging. So this is about this part. So yeah, so far we have covered entities, fulfillment, and yeah. So there's one more thing that I would like to show you, which is yeah. Let's create one more intent called sorry. Yeah, get weather. I named that as my intent, and then you would mention something like how is the weather like? Then how cold is it in Dallas? So if you remember, I mentioned previously about the action and parameters and entities. So I would mention something like at the rate sys dot geo city, and the parameter name will be city, value will be dollar city. So yeah, and I'll make it as required. Uh, you can mention prompt to get the name of the city. If the user doesn't mention it, enter the city name. Close, and then we would have to mark Dallas as a city. So it basically the entity at the rate sys.geocity was having the value Dallas, so it resolved it to this value. So again, you might add something like Uh, Tell me the weather in Seattle. So yeah, I just entered the sentence and it automatically identified that yeah, the user is talking about a city. So this is how you mention. Basically, this is how you extract information from what the user said, and then we are not doing anything complicated. We would just mention something like getting the weather in dollar city. So yeah, this is the variable that we created, and its value will be uh, like whatever value you pass in over here, that would be passed over to this. So this is basically a print kind of statement, but for a better and more proper use case, what you would do is enable a webhook call, and then in the fulfillment section, you would hit a weather API, which would uh, accept the city name as an input, and then it would give you a post. So yeah, basically you will be hitting the API and getting the response from it, and then maybe you would have to do some post processing on the response that you get from the API, and then extract the value of the temperature and whatever unit you want and whatever is supplied by the API, and then you would return the output that you obtain from the API, and yeah, it would be displayed in the response section, somewhere over here. So if we want to check this, then clicking on save. Yeah, agent training completed, so we can test it now. Tell me the weather in Dallas. Getting the weather in Dallas. So what we did was we pass in the city's name as a variable over here, which was marked as a city attribute or city entity. And then it gave us the response that, yeah, we are trying to fetch the weather from the city. Similarly, you can also try tell me the weather in Austin. So over here, we didn't define Austin as a city, but since it was mentioned as a sys.geocity tag, so it identified that Austin is indeed a city, and it gave us this output. So yeah, there are a lot of things that you can do with the chatbot. Basically, you just need to think of a particular use case that you would like to showcase, and Dialogflow enables you to get to its working very quickly and presentable in a very nice way. So this is the extension about the chatbot. So yeah, like I was gonna tell you about backed by API for fulfillment, which is the webhook calls, then weather chatbot, which I just showcased, and yeah, the final part is website integration. So for the website integration, as it is done over here, what you need to do is that basically you need 1 minute. I'll open the integrations tab. So yeah, over here there are multiple options from for you to select. You can have this one-click telephony. Again, a lot of these are in beta, while others are full-fledged and working. Then, if you want text-based messaging, then you can use these, or for open source options, you can use these. So what it basically does is the backend of the chatbot remains at Dialogflow, and the front end, as in the chat window or the contact with which you are chatting. So those contacts would be available on these apps. such as Messenger, Telegram, Slack, or Skype. So what I have done over here, this one particularly, it's this option, Dialogflow Messenger. So what you would have to do is, oh yeah, okay. So before doing this, you need to go to this settings tab of the agent and then click on environments, and you need to publish the version. So once you click on publish, a version will be published, and then you can also give the environment uh, version v1 of the GDSC bot. Next, if you want, you can create a new environment and give it name like live dev prod, something like that. And since this is a very basic chatbot, so we are not having any webhook or yeah. Sorry, I forgot to mention one thing. So over here, what you can also do is that instead of calling another API, if you have a serverless function or a cloud function, yeah. So if you have your account on Google Cloud and you want to trigger any cloud functions for doing some extra processing, then you can also link those cloud functions over here. Since in our case, we are basically returning the hard-coded responses, so we will be clicking on no fulfillment. Let's say the environment is dev, and yeah, you can keep these values as it is and click on publish. Yeah, so the version is published. Click on save finally, and yeah. So going back to the sorry integrations tab, and to text based and Dialogflow Messenger, you can see our dev environment is available over here. And then all you need to do is click on the enable button. So it will generate a script tag for you, which you need to copy, and then you would have to paste it in your HTML page body tag. 1 minute, I can show you. So yeah, I had the code ready for it, and again, I didn't change the. This is one of the previous versions of the chatbot that I have. If you go to inspect element, you will see that yeah. So yeah, this is a simple head tag, and within that title, and yeah, I think the yeah, and then we have this h1 tag, and this is the entire script element that we embedded over here. So what it is actually this script tag, and you just need to include it in your HTML, and it would work for you. It would not exactly work for you. So one additional thing that you would have to do is uh, this basically requires the web page to be hosted on some server. So if you can notice over here in the URL, it's running on my local host. So what you need to do is, so basically I created a very simple Flask application, and one minute I can walk you through the code for that. So yeah, this is my very basic Flask application. Flask is a framework based on Python, which is it is a very simple micro framework for creating server and web applications using Python. So yeah, so basically what I did is import a few libraries and instantiated a Flask server, and this is the route. So route is basically this endpoint after the uh, ho- host name and the port number. So if it is on the default, so this is the route for default homepage, and yeah, the app is running, like after its instantiation, its run method is triggered, and this is what the entire code for running a server is in Python. And after that, what you need to do is that you need to create a file called index.html or whatever name you want to give. And after that, there's a method in class called render template. So what it basically looks for is a templates folder within which there is a file with the name that you mentioned in the previous file. That is in flask app.py, I mentioned the name of the page as index.html. So I have in my basically project, I have a templates folder within which I have a file called index.html, which is having these things: head tag, title, body, h1, and the script tag. So this is where you need to paste the thing which is generated by Dialogflow Messenger. And yeah, and then the body tag is closed, HTML tag is closed, and that's it. So this is how you would be able to create your chatbot and have it running on your local host. If you want it to work on your own website, then first of all you would have to create a website and have a Flask server, basically any kind of server running at its backend. And whenever it is rendering a page, so on that page you need to include the script tag like I did, and your chatbot will be ready to use on your website. Uh, yeah, let's see if anything else is pending. Yeah, that's about it. Also, you don't need to worry. I'll be sharing the code for this. So yeah, again, coming back to our slides. So yeah, we covered backed by API for fulfillment using webhooks and cloud functions, weather chatbot for extracting details from the chatbot, and website integration using a simple web application. So yeah, if you want to read more about Dialogflow, then you can definitely visit this link. So yeah, one thing that I forgot to mention is that over here we have been using the Dialogflow Essentials version. There is one more version, but again that is complicated. So for this session, we use the Essentials version, which is short for short in short as ES. And you can also scan this QR code or go to my GitHub and download the project folder and get your chatbot ready for you. So, in case you were stuck somewhere or you were not able to follow along, what you need to do is that again the initial steps remain as is. So, you need to go over here, create new agent, and once the agent is created, you don't need to do much. You don't need to define all the intents and other things. you go over to the Export and Import tab and click on Restore from Zip option. So over here, it will ask you for select a zip file, select a file. So over here, you need to select this chatbot zip, open, and the file is selected. You can see the name over here, and then you need to click on restore. So this is kind of a confirmation from the Google Cloud platform that you indeed want to restore it, and then just click on restore button. So what you would be getting is, uh, yeah, you would be getting this version of the chatbot that you can see over here. It's named as Jerry, so you would know that it is some another chatbot and not the GDSC bot that we just created. So yeah, these are basically the steps that you need to follow. You can download, you can clone the repository, or you can download the zip file and extract it and proceed further. So yeah, and you can finally end up having a chatbot on your website as well, as I have. And yeah, thank you for the attending the session. If you have any queries, then you can definitely bring them in the comment section or chat section. And the recording for this session will be available by the end of this week for the participants who attended it. Also, after the session ends, we will be sending you a brief survey that I would recommend you to fill so that we get a better idea about what more topics you would like us to present, and what other kind of workshops that you would like to see in the future. And also, one final reminder for you to sign up for the Flutter series that GDSC is hosting. I think the application closes today, so I would suggest you to go for it. Flutter will be very useful for you in creating mobile apps for Android and iOS using the same code base, so that you don't need separate developers for iOS or Android, and then you can manage it from a single code base. Yeah. So that's about it. If you have any questions, then you can post them in the chat section. Again, I would like to thank you all for coming and enjoying the session.